Good afternoon and welcome on the Sunset Safari. I'm on the exact termite mound where we had the Nkuhumas Pride on the Sunrise Safari. So Jandre and I have come to have a look. My name is Brent Smith. I'm going to be your guide in the other vehicle, and I think they're heading westwards to see if they can find Shadow and Madiba. And Scott and James will be out there somewhere on the tracking team, and in final control we have Nikki and Lou this afternoon. So I'm going to have a quick look around this area, see where we can see where the pride went. And thanks very much for the updates tomorrow about a lioness who came down to drink at the Juma waterhole, and she went from left to right, so that makes me think they've gone north. But only a single lioness, so I'm going to have a quick look at the tracks around here, see if they can give us a better idea of where they've gone, and hopefully we will find them quite shortly. So while I go try find a cat in the bush on foot, we're going to go back across to Jamie, who is en route towards Arathusa to see if she can follow up on Shadow and Madiba.
Afternoon everyone, and welcome to the Sunset Safari. And as Brent, I'm on my way to Arathusa to see if we can get on Shadow and named Madiba that we had this morning. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Jamie and I have VM, the wildebeest, on camera with me this afternoon, and we're off to find some spotted kitty cats. I've just come via Impala Plains just because it's a nice open area. This morning I saw some Senegal lapwings, which is quite an unusual bird for this area, although we have seen them here the last few weeks, so I think they're going to settle down for the breeding season here. They don't seem to be around this afternoon. As you can see, the weather has not improved very much. I think it's got colder, but maybe that's just because I was hoping it was going to get warmer. It's still very, very chilly here and fairly windy, and typically I associate this sort of weather with possibly somewhat poorer game viewing. However, this morning was definitely an exception to the rule, and we had quite a lot wandering around, so hopefully we get to follow up on what they've been up to. The one thing about this weather is that it means that the animals are much more mobile during the middle of the day than they would normally be if it was much warmer. So there's a very, very good chance that Shadow and Madiba have shifted around from where I left them this morning. And for those of you who might have joined us for the first time and are wondering what was, or how it was that we found them, we actually had some fantastic updates from many of the viewers who got to see Shadow kill a duiker on the Arathusa Dam camera last night, and she ate some of it and then went to fetch Madiba, went back to the kill, and then had it stolen by hyenas who then were in some conflict with the hippos. So really, really interesting evening's viewing of the goings on at the Arathusa Dam, and really, really cool that so many people got to actually watch that situation play itself out. But when I did see them, they were both looking fairly full, pretty well fed. It was hard to tell because Madiba was very much tucked at the bottom of a tambuti thicket, so we couldn't see him too clearly. Driving along looking at some rather dreary clouds. It did actually rain on us this morning after the morning game drive, We went out to practice setting up a tent on quarantine clearings, and it definitely drizzled more than I expected to see. Now apparently it's 17 degrees Celsius, which is around 62 degrees Fahrenheit. To me it feels colder, but that is because there's quite a wind chill factor happening as well. It hasn't stopped blowing. And apparently there's even more rain predicted for tomorrow, which is good. We really need to see it coming now. It is incredibly dry, and a lot of the dams are, if they've not dried up, they're basically just mud puddles. And for those of you who might have missed this morning's drive, it is great to be back from leave. I'm very happy to be back out in the bush again and driving you all around to see what we can find. Even though I had a really wonderful holiday, very relaxed with my family. It was great to see them all, including my little brother, who I haven't seen in a good couple of months. It's awesome to see him. It's always nice to be back in the bush. I'm just gonna stop for a moment so that I don't scare him off even more. There's a male kudu. He's probably somewhere in the region of 4 years old, or just under. He hasn't got those fully developed horns yet. They'll reach those sort of 2 or 3 curls of a proper adult bull somewhere in the region of 4 to 5 years old. And he's definitely still growing his. I would put him at probably about 3, actually, now that I'm looking at him. You can see he's fluffed up, slightly damp, as it has been drizzling on and off. Lots of bird noise happening though. You can definitely hear. Most prominent calling is the Cape turtle dove, which is such a typical sound to hear out here in the wilds of Djuma and Arathusa game reserves in the Sabi Sands. So that's the predominant bird call that I'm hearing. The drongos are also out in full force. And I also heard one of my favorite little birds, which is the chin spot batis. Tiny little black and white bird that makes a little click sound, which is bill snapping, rather than the traditional bird song that we usually hear from the other birds. Now we must continue on. Our kudu friend has moved into a very thick block, so I don't think we're going to get a better view of him. Turtle dove that we heard calling. Now, traditionally in some of the more Western cultures, doves are associated as being birds as a symbol of peace. So very often they're released at weddings. They're often seen as a symbol or a sign of peace and harmony amongst people. And the interesting thing is that in this country, or in lots of local cultures in this country, game drive is open. In a lot of the local cultures, the dove is actually a symbol of conflict. So, in other words, it's the exact opposite of what it means in Western cultures. And the reason behind that is they are known to fight incredibly aggressive, especially the males in breeding season. would actually kill each other in those conflicts. So probably a much more matched up image to the way that they actually behave. Next few days, if this cold front does continue to pass over our heads, it will bring more rain than we've seen up until now. So that drizzle that we had earlier was probably maybe 2 millimeters of rain, if that, this afternoon. And we definitely need to see the really big rains. There's a bit of a bet going on in camp as to when the first big proper rain will come through. And we've put that number at around 20 millimeters, so the proper first rainstorm of the season. And Lady Macbeth, who is in St. Lucia apparently, they had 10 millimeters of rain last night, which is wonderful. That's a good proper rain. It's better than our 2 that we had. But I do hope that it continues to happen. Now, I was actually in Natal recently, and for those of you who don't know, St. Lucia's towards the coastline of South Africa. I was maybe a couple of hundred, maybe 200 kilometers south of that when I was on leave over the last 2 weeks. And it was definitely probably the most dry I've seen that area in a very long time. Just stopping for these impala. Fortunately, not the clearest view. And it's amazing on these cold and windy days, the general game actually really tends to disappear. I think they go right into the blocks away from the road as just a way of being a little bit more sheltered from the wind that's blowing. And we're definitely starting to see the first signs of impala pregnancies coming through. They're going to be showing very soon. We've probably got another 2.5 months before they start to drop their lambs. But it's starting to come through clearly now. And the end of their pregnancy, those ewes start to look really, really uncomfortable. You can see that the fetus is pulling them sort of hanging quite low on their bellies. You start to see the hip bones a bit more clearly, and they really look as though they are uncomfortable and struggling to move like they usually do. So quite a short gestation for the impala, from the rutting season in May to giving birth at the end of November or the beginning of December, depending on when the rains come. But they will definitely all be, I'm sure, very grateful for the moment when they get to get rid of that load. It's also a really, really good time for many of the predators in this area, as they have a chance to really catch a lot of the lambs, and I know that the mortality rate is incredibly high. is where I last saw Shadow and Madiba. Good afternoon, Gilly, and welcome to the Sunset Safari. Thank you for your words of welcome. As always, it's great to have you on the back of the vehicle with us, and I am very happy to be back amongst my favorite, in one of my favorite places with some very special people. And I did indeed bring my flute back with me. I went to visit my dog, who is currently staying with a friend of mine. She's looking very well, very healthy, possibly even slightly underweight. Just gonna say hello to some of the neighbors. How's it? Hi guys. Good, thanks.
Morning, how's it? Guys, anywhere you were there this morning?
Yeah. Are they still around or? No, thought not. Thought they were gonna go.
Just followed up now, but I'm sure with this Moya that they've gone.
Yeah, I'm sure they have.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that.
Sure.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Oh, it's a regular highway on this road today. We've got another vehicle coming. Now, I've just heard from one of the other guides that the leopards have moved away. Some of the other guides went to go and check where they were, which is what I expected to happen, especially in this weather. And I'm sure that they've tucked themselves even further into that drainage line. How's it?
Hi there,
Good.
how's it going? Okay. Yeah, so look around there, you see anything now, but I'm going to go east now, and we'll try and get some car,
All right, enjoy.
look around us, but she might be in that smallest.
I'm sure they're still tucked in that line. All right, cheers. Okay, we are back again, and I think we might have free run of the road now. It's as though the guys are heading to follow up on some of the lion sightings that were south of our border this morning. Now, it appears as though, as I was saying earlier, Shadow and Madiba have left where they were before, which doesn't come as a surprise to me. It is that kind of weather where leopards don't necessarily sit still and stay where you left them. So I'm going to go and just poke my nose in and see if we can at least get an idea of the direction that they moved off in. Maybe hazard a guess as to where they might be heading. Kind of situation is to go back to where the leopards were last seen, and I'm probably going to start with Shadow because I think that there's a chance that if she went off somewhere, Madiba might have followed along. So I'm going to start with her also because she is a little bit closer to where I am at the moment. Then I'm going to see if we can find out which way those tracks went. Now it seems as though the other guides have been driving around the area because they went to go and check first. But I'm sure that we will be able to pick up on something as we go through. My guess is that they're both tucked further into that drainage line, right in the thick of something. We shall see. When I saw them, neither of them looked too hungry. Way back, if I don't have any luck, I'm going to stop off and see how the vulture nest is going on Zebra Drive. I'm very curious to see how that's doing. I'm sure they will have a chick by now. And I did see an adult sitting on the nest when I went by this morning. I'm curious to see if maybe we can catch a glimpse of the new arrival of the white-backed vulture. Always something positive to see for a species that is threatened in the way that so many vulture species are. Want to scare that kudu away any more than I have to. You can see also looking fluffed up and rather chilly. Now that she's moved across the road, I might shift a bit further forward. There you can see there's a younger one. And continuing on our weather discussion, Raisa tells us that it is exactly the same temperature in southern Finland, also with drizzle. So that's an interesting comparison there. And presumably at the end of your summer and the beginning of ours, we've sort of matched up and managed to sync temperatures. And Larry, you are more than welcome to some of our cooler air. I would absolutely love to send some through to you. It's also incredibly dry here at the moment. My lips are so dry that they actually start, some of them have, parts of it have started to bleed every time I smile. So it is definitely different climatic conditions, and the wind certainly doesn't help. Try and loop around these kudu. I don't think we're going to get a very clear view. It's a very, very thick block. No. And since these kudu are disappearing, and I have leopards to find, I'm sure that you've been wondering what Brent has been up to while we've been away. And so we're going to cross across to him, and I will catch up with you a little bit later, hopefully with some information as to where Shadow and Madiba have moved off to.
Welcome back, everyone. So we've circled the whole area, found the tracks of that single lioness that came down to have a drink. She's crossed back into this area. So what we're going to do is I'm going to drive up. There's a spot that I know the Nkuhumas pride like, on a nice open sort of area of grassland. Sorry, I just had some talking in my ear from the game drive. I thought they'd found something, but while we're looking for these lions, we might as well chat a bit about lions. And so during the day, it has been decided that unfortunately it was a little bit of false information that those were the Matimbas that chased the Birmingham off that buffalo carcass. It actually looks like it was not the Matimbas. Then someone thought it was the northern Matimbas. It's definitely not the northern Matimbas. The Matimbas we normally see are way down south of the Sand River still. And we had confirmation of that from one of the guides down in the south. And it looks like these two males from the photographs are two males I've seen before, or two of a coalition that used to be four, that I saw when I was visiting at Singita. It looks to be the two remaining Salati males. And they have come down from the Manuleti. I have seen them around Manuleti's main camp when we were staying there. So whether they're, oh, there they are. They haven't moved very far at all. So it looks like just driving around pays off sometimes. We're going to go back and look for tracks again then. And all of a sudden look to my right and there's a whole stack of lions. Go. So as we were saying, we're going to have a look now. We've got Junior here. The rest of the pride are lying up flat cat, so he's got his head up. Oh, big boy. So it looks like those are the Salati males, and the fact that they've possibly pushed this far south means those new males. I heard from my friend who works in the Manuleti, there's 2 coalitions that are putting pressure from the north, both coming in from the Timbavati. One is called the Skybed males, and I've forgotten the name offhand. I'll remember it just now, of the other coalition of male lions. Oh, I'm trying to remember. Sorry about that, guys. Oh. So, I haven't moved too far from where we left them this morning. So guys, as I was saying, there's quite a bit of confusion that's going on at the moment with what happened on that stolen buffalo carcass. So from my understanding is, now, as we know, the Nkuhumas made the kill. They were chased off by a single Birmingham boy, who is now being chased off by 2 Salati boys from the north. They were thought to be Matimbas, but they were misidentified. They are Salati boys who chased off that single Birmingham. That single Birmingham was found this morning on Torchwood with what they think is the Styx female that has had the cubs. So, and she was showing signs of trying to mate with the Birmingham, even though the Birmingham showed no interest. The other 4 Birminghams are further to the east, and I think that's where we sit right now. And then the Matimbas we know are to the south in Malamala. And I remember the other coalition that's putting pressure on the northern Matimbas, which is then probably forcing them to put pressure on the Salati males, causing the Salati males to be this far south, are the giraffe males. Now, the giraffe pride from the Timbavati are quite a famous pride, because they are one of the prides that regularly have white lions. So that could be quite interesting if there's some white lion genetics heading further south, heading our way. Now, it gets a bit more complicated with white lions. So not only does the male have to carry that recessive genetic gene, the female has to have it as well to produce a white lion cub. So these females in the Sabi Sands would have to possess that recessive if the giraffe males ever made it this far down. So you need a double recessive to produce a white lion. We're just going to move around so we can have a better look. So I hope that we've got the lions sorted out there. And there is always guesswork in that. And I know, just to throw a spanner in the works, those 2 male lions might not even be the Salatis. They might be 2 new males out of Kruger. Who knows? But from the photograph I've seen, it does look like they are definitely the Salatis, and I have seen them before and photographed them before, but I haven't had a chance to double check. I photographed them actually while we were still staying in the Manuleti. Yeah, Junior is up and moving towards the lionesses. But no, not very far at all. He took 3 steps. Let me just get in there quickly. So as we're looking at Junior there, quite a few of you might have noticed he had a little spot of blood behind his left ear. Don't worry, that is not a wound. That it looks like he scratched a big fat grey tick and the tick has popped. So, and it's more than likely what's happened there. And I don't think it's a wound at all. I just think there's a popped tick behind his ear. Now you guys gonna lie about here and sleep all afternoon like you did this morning? Most probably. So lions, although they are probably one of the most exciting animals to watch when they're on the hunt, on the move, or fighting or mating, they spend the majority of their time like they are at the moment. So on average they'll sleep for about 20 out of 24 hours. And their bouts of movement can be quite limited to sort of sleep for half an hour, walk for 20 minutes, sleep for half an hour, walk for 20 minutes. That's not to say they're not capable of walking for a solid hour or hunting for a solid hour. But generally they do try to conserve as much energy as possible. So with the current upheaval, John Q says, now the Saladi males are in play. Yay, I agree with you. It is definitely going to make things more interesting having more male lions around. Unfortunately for the lionesses and stuff, it just makes things a lot more complicated. And Donna says, this is Days of Our Lives lion style. I agree with you. There's quite the soap opera going on. And the most wonderful thing about our soap opera is that it's completely real and natural, and it's nature at its finest. So if I try to give a little bit more detail of the Salati males from what I can remember, when I saw them, there were 4 of them, and they were probably about the same age as the Birminghams are now, maybe a little bit older. And they're called the Salati males because they come from way down south in the Sabi Sands, around where the old Salati railway line used to run through the southern Sabi Sands. So somewhere around Sabi, southern end of Londolozi, that area is where the Salati males come from. And they've slowly moved north, and they've been pushed by the Majingalans, they've been pushed by other males, and eventually they settled between the 2 Matimba coalitions. So you've got the southern Matimbas, which are the ones we see regularly in the northern Sabi Sands, and then the northern Matimbas are northern Manyeleti pushing into the Timbavati. So from what I've heard from my friend up in the Manyeleti is that there's 2 different sets of young males pushing in from the Timbavati on the northern Matimbas, which have now obviously pushed on the Salatis. And with the Birminghams causing so much havoc, there is a bit of a vacuum, a gap of space. They can't be everywhere all the time. So you probably find that's what happened there. They've just moved into this little vacuum. I don't think they'll be able to control the vacuum. I think the Birminghams will probably push them back north. So they're a bit of a rock and a hard place. There, if I remember correctly, they should be about a similar age to the Matimbas, maybe a year or 2 younger. If any of you guys know for sure, please let me know, and you can do that by emailing us on questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So I'm guessing they're around 9 years old. But there were 4 when I first saw them, and I did get some really lovely photographs of them before they were looking quite battle scarred. This next time I saw them, they are looking very battle scarred, and sort of proper male lions, full of scratches and cuts and bumps and whatnot. But definitely scrappers, and be very interesting to watch or hear what they do over the coming couple of days and weeks. it hasn't warmed up much at all today. And it's 17 degrees Celsius, about 63 Fahrenheit. So it's only come up 2 degrees Celsius from this morning. Oh, 3 degrees, sorry. It was 14 when we started this morning. So it has been quite a cool day. And quite happy that the lions haven't moved too far on a cool day like this. So I thought we might be in for a monster tracking session. So as we can see, if we come out of it, there's Andre, and we can see the pile of lions in its entirety. We have 5 lionesses there, and Jilly was wondering, has the missing one come back yet? I'm afraid not, Jilly. So just 5 lionesses, or 4 adults, 1 sub-adult. So the missing one is not back. And now, if these lionesses were to come into heat, and Junior was still knocking about, Lisa was wondering, would they chase him out? Lisa, I think the biggest problem, if they did come into heat, it would attract male lions, and that's a far bigger threat to Junior than the lionesses chasing him out. They might become a little bit more aggressive towards him, but I think his biggest problem would be the fact that them coming into estrus, and they would probably start vocalizing and looking for males to mate with, and that scent and those calls would definitely attract the likes of the Birminghams and the Salati males in, and that would be quite detrimental to Junior's health and well-being. So as we have a closer look at young Junior's face there, Finney in Ohio is wondering if you can identify lions by the spot pattern in the whiskers above the last line of whiskers. And she says welcome back, and she's enjoying the drives. Well, thanks very much, Finney. Good to be back. You can actually identify lions from their whisker patterns, but it is very, very difficult. And generally with lions, you tend to use other things. Researchers also use nose colors, and you can get different grades of pink and dark and on the nose. Also, if a lion yawns, it has dark discoloration on the gums, which is also a very good ID feature with lions. Also, broken canines, large scars, missing tails, torn ears. Of course, all of these can be quite difficult because with scars and things like that, they are constantly changing or getting new ones. But lion researchers do generally use the whisker pattern as an ID feature, but it can be quite difficult. Now, I know a lot of you have heard this before as we watch young Junior licking his burgeoning mane, and I'm sure a few of you, if there are any new viewers, might be wondering, do lions get hairballs? And the answer is an emphatic yes. And licking each other like they do and licking themselves, there is a large percentage of fur that will be transferred into their mouth. A lion furball is not a pleasant thing. Quite often got quite a lot of semi-digested animal parts in it, as well as all the fur, maybe a bit of bone, and can be very, very smelly. So while we've been chatting about that missing sub-adult lioness or flop from the Nkuhumas Pride, Rita was wondering if I've heard anything from the other vehicles. Rita, unfortunately, I haven't heard anything from any guides or anything. There's been no word on her. I'm not even sure the last time she was seen. She was definitely with the Pride before I left, so it must be in the last week that she's disappeared. So unfortunately, no word on her whereabouts. So one of the most amazing things about these live safaris is we do get to see a lion behavior in its entirety rather than the sort of highlights reel that happens with a lot of the documentaries. So you will realize that lions don't run around, jump, fight and mate all the time, and they do spend the vast majority of their time sleeping and resting. And Holden from Jackie's school class in Illinois was wondering how long they sleep a day. Holden, on average, they're quite lazy and they conserve a lot of energy, and they sleep for around 20 hours a day. So they're only active for 4 hours, and that's not a solid active 4 hours. There will be 20 minutes of activity, half an hour of no activity, an hour of activity, maybe 5 hours of no activity. So it all just depends, but on average they do sleep for around 20 hours a day. That's why when it comes to filming and following lions, the most important thing to be is patient. Because those bursts of energy can be so unbelievably incredible that it is worth sitting with them while they're sleeping. And sometimes they can be very cute while they're sleeping as well. So we're seeing a little bit of grooming from this female, and that's what we want to see. Ideally, we want to see her shortly after grooming herself stand up, stretch, and possibly go flop down on top of one of the other members of the Pride and start allo grooming. And those of you not sure what allo grooming is, it's social grooming, so mutual grooming, and that to reify Pride bonds, but it is also a good sign that they might start thinking about moving. So it seems Jackie's class in Illinois is having a fun school period and joining us on a live safari. So we've got another question from Natasha in Jackie's class. And Natasha's question is about the tail. And there we can see a lioness's tail there. And we can see the black tip to it. And Natasha is wondering, why do they have that little ball of black tip on their tail? Natasha, that's a very good question. And a lot of animals in the bush have things that we call following mechanisms. So when they are moving through thick bush, they will be looking for certain things that can show the other lions where they are. And if we have a look at this, oh no, she's turning around to stretch, but you also see her ears there. That black behind the ears, that is another following mechanism. And one must remember that lions do not see in color like us. They see in black and white. So, ooh, looks like she's got quite a bad injury on her foot there. Didn't notice that this morning. I will chat about it now. But so, Natasha, let's just have a look at this injury and then we will get back to your question on following mechanisms. It looks to be more... Oh, that doesn't look too pleasant, but it is... Looks more of a flesh wound than deep into the muscle. Unfortunately, we can't really see while she's licking. Now, I know for a lot of us, this injury will look really, really bad. But for an animal like a lion, that's sort of part and parcel of life. And I'm just going to grab my binders and have a closer look at that injury. So from here, it doesn't look like it's that bad. It looks like it's just a flesh wound, and those can be repaired very quickly with lions. And she's got another small wound on her rump. Now this looks quite recent. You can see that wound on her rump is still oozing. So this is probably, I'm not sure whether you guys can tell me, did anyone notice a wound on any of the lionesses with Scott? If not, I think this is probably from fighting over that zebra carcass last night. So it is possible it could be an injury from the hunt itself, but coupled with the bite mark on her rump and the slight oozing wound on her rump, if we come out a little bit to the right, there's Andre, you can see there, and the fact that it's still oozing a little bit means it's probably quite fresh from last night, and that's almost definitely from another lion. So I'm guessing this is probably from the fight over the carcass. And don't worry, guys, I mean, lions, being lions, get these type of injuries regularly, and they have an incredible system that's able to heal wounds that we think are quite atrocious and quite quickly. And even though that's probably, there we go, she's going to lick that other bite on the rump there. So it's more than likely she has sustained that from another member of her own pride. It could have been Junior or any of the other adult females, unlikely to have been the sub-adult, but not impossible. So that could have definitely happened from any of the adults. Obviously Junior is the biggest and most aggressive at the moment, but they do all get very aggressive with each other at feeding. So it's impossible to say whether it was in fact Junior or one of the other lionesses. You see she's limping, but only slightly. As I said, it'll probably cause her quite a bit of discomfort, but I don't think it's going to impede her hunting or mobility at the moment. Of course, if it gets infected, that's a different story. But as I said, these animals have incredible tolerance. So there, back to Natasha's question as she walks away, you can see how those black behind the ears and on the tail stand out. And now imagine if you were trying to follow another lioness and you were hunting behind her, trying to see where she was going. That's what those are there for. And remember, lions see in sort of shades of grey, so colors like black and white really stick out. So that black would show out against the grey or even green bush of the summer. Looks like she's trying to get everyone on the move. Not too much success. We've got 2 heads up. we've lost sight of her. There's a bit of licking going on, heads popping up. So it is possible they are going to move. Although I would recommend not going that way. Oh, all four heads up now. Only Junior is fast asleep. Lots of yawning, lots of licking. All very good precursors to a possibility of movement, although the Nkuhumas have proved me wrong on many an occasion. You guys wouldn't have been able to hear that, but I just hear that low contact grunt to where that lioness has disappeared. That oh, but just catching fragments of it on the wind. We were just discussing how aggressive lions can be with each other and how they can do some serious damage, and that's members of the same pride, not even members of opposite prides. And Brittany, who's a new viewer, welcome on the safari, Brittany, is asking, do they ever get aggressive with the vehicles or with the guides? Well, Brittany, fortunately not. These animals have all grown up with vehicles, and also it's how you drive around them. You generally don't drive too close. You let them come closer to you. You don't cut them off. You don't see. They can hear her. I can just hear that faint ow on the wind, very faint. And also, Brittany, they don't see the vehicle as a human being. They see it, and it doesn't smell like anything that's either dangerous or tasty. It smells of petrol and oil and brake fluid and steering fluid, and what other fluids do we put in a vehicle? So if you drive carefully and respectfully around them, you don't give them a reason to be aggressive with the vehicles. You can see there's another small scratch on her bottom, on her left cheek. And that also looks quite fresh, so also probably from last night fighting over that zebra carcass. Very. And number 2's on the way. So we've just witnessed a little bit of aloe grooming, and Anne from the sunny seaside town in South Africa of eThekwini, or Durban. eThekwini is the Zulu name for Durban, and that means the hammerkop. And hammerkops were found in Durban Bay before they became a city. But Anne was wondering whether aloe grooming would expand onto the wounds of another lioness. So one of the lionesses licking another's wound. Yes, it would, Anne, but sometimes the other lionesses can get a little bit upset with it. And old Junior is, as always, bringing up the rear. We're gonna cruise along after these ladies, see what they're up to. They are heading north towards our boundary, and I think they're going to display very typical lion behavior, as they're going to get up, walk for 60 meters, and they might possibly lie down again, but then we'll probably see quite a bit more stretching and grooming. Here look like from elephant picking up tree roots. Does look like they're doing exactly as I predicted. So as we follow the Nkuhumas ladies here, we've got a question from Sarah, who's 17 in Ohio, and she's wondering about the missing subadult. In the hunts we have witnessed, she doesn't seem to, that subadults don't seem to play that big a role, obviously because they're physically quite a lot smaller. And Sarah is wondering, is she going to be able to hunt for herself? So I think she is capable of it. Obviously for a lion who's a social animal and a social hunter, it's much easier when there's more lions. But we're caught up with some of them. The other two are up ahead of us now, and we've got one lioness about to pop past our nose. And following her is the litter mate of the missing subadult lioness. Okay, and the lead lioness is just laying down, and we're going to move around to where she is, because I'm quite sure the others will come join her there. And no sign of young Junior here. So we've now positioned ourselves, one of the adult lioness who looked like the one who was leading. I can't really see the foot now, but we've got the others all coming around to join, and hopefully we'll see some nice social interaction between them. So now that we've got a moment to be stationary again, sorry Sarah, back to your question. At that age she is probably very capable of hunting by herself. It all depends on what is the reason she got removed. Oh look, see, here we go. Oh, another lioness coming in from behind. So all this is very important in terms of affirming bonds between the pride members. But so she is capable, but it is going to be far more difficult because she is by herself. Lions are social hunters, and that's not to say she can't hunt by herself. It is more difficult. It is a possibility, but I'm not sure how or where she was chased. I think with the amount of turmoil happening at the moment with the lions, there is a possibility she might have got on the wrong end of the Birmingham boys. Sorry guys, just going to be on the Game Drive channel for a second. Alright. So as we are following the lines, we've got a question again relating to that missing sub-adult lioness from Matimba Male Lion on Twitter. And Matimba is wondering, is it possible Junior killed that sub-adult? It's very unlikely. I mean, it is physically possible, but very unlikely. He is related to her. She's grown up in the same pride as him. It's not to say it's impossible, but it's very, very unlikely. If she has been killed by another set of lions, it's far more likely it's been the Birminghams, or if she got separated in a chase by another female pride like the Sticks. But very, very, very unlikely to have been Junior. Sorry guys, Game Drive is a calling. Oh, you caught up with us very quickly. So just gonna jump on the radio here quickly. Standing by, Craig. Hey, firm, we're now mobile north from Gary Dam. Probably be sitting about halfway between the Buffelshoek cut line and Mvubu Road. General direction is still north. She looks fine. She has been licking it quite a bit. Confirm, do you know where that injury comes from? Copy, thanks. So I found out that I've been aware that injury is a little bit older than I initially suspected. So probably 4 days old, after they were chased off the buffalo carcass by the single Birmingham male. But it's more than likely from feeding with the others than from fighting with the Birmingham. But it could possibly be from the Birmingham. So very typical lion behavior, walk for a bit and lay about for a bit. So that pair at the back there, that is the lioness who's got the injured paw. There's a nice example of that social grooming we've been talking about. So as I said, the next stop, it's more likely for them to display some of this. And this is sort of lions waking up. It can take them quite a while to get going. So we saw quite a bit of tail flickering there, and we can see that happening again. But Ruth from Costa Rica saying it seems like only the first lioness is flicking her tail. Ruth, all of them are from time to time. The reason she's probably flicking her tail more is due to that injury, and it's probably due to flies annoying her. And we can actually see, zoom in on her middle back there, please, Andre. Zoom in. And there's some more scratch marks there. Those are a bit older. But as I said, all these type of injuries very much come with being a lion. Have you heard something? Duck around. No. So the one other lioness is still off there. The other is following. And the lioness off to the left is showing possibly I've seen something to eat. So I've seen some wonderful social grooming on the sunset safari, and they have been together most of the day, so it hasn't been really expressive, but still very nice, good general lion grooming behavior. Just get on to her, please, Andre. She spotted something. You just watch her head. She's seen something we can't see. We'll get back to the social grooming, but let's just see what's happening in front of us right now. See how she's keeping her head low like that. When Jandre and I did drive around the block, we did smell buffalo. There could be some old boys hanging out in this on the crest here. Now, I truly believe, having spent a lot of time with lions, that they take visual cues. There's definitely visual communication that happens between lions. And you see how they constantly, you saw that little glance off to what would have been your right, and she was glancing at the other lioness, and the lionesses that are right next to us here have been watching her. As soon as she's now stopped and moved this way, their whole body language has changed again. Their heads are no longer sort of at attention as they once were a few minutes ago. So coming back to social grooming, and Gail from Rhode Island is wondering, is it always the dominant lioness who gets greeted first and starts the grooming, or does she ever initiate grooming? Well, instantly, it can be initiated by any member of the pride, male or female, and no matter the age. Generally, higher ranking sort of animals will be more accepted, but when it comes to that type of stuff, there isn't a really set fast hierarchy like with male lions. I think there's definitely dominance between the females. So just making sure what's going on here. One lioness has disappeared off that direction, and the other's just watching her. So, I mean, with that social grooming, it can be initiated by any member of the pride at any time. Whether it's received well or not is a completely different thing. So guys, I'm just watching these other two lionesses that have moved off to the left. They are looking a little bit more serious about their movements. And as they head off, we're going to try follow them now. Not quite stalking, but maybe they've heard or smelt buffalo or something further to the north. So let's keep with them and see what's going on. This is the last lioness about to pass us here. See, back to why they don't attack vehicles and stuff. If you drive respectfully, so when she's moving quite close to me, I don't start the engine and move because that might startle her. I wait till she gets a bit of a safe distance and then we'll move. Following the pride here, Mauricia in Texas, welcome Mauricia, said, they look like they're a bit skinny, could deal with a good buffalo kill. So my advice to the Nkuhumas would be stay away from the buffalo. They make a hang of a lot of noise when you kill them, which brings every male lion in the area descending on. So I would say kill something smaller and kill it quietly. One disappointing thing about the direction they're heading is the fact that it is towards our northern boundary. Hopefully they'll find some buffalo before we get there. Follow these lions, hopefully on the hunt, referring to that fantastic sighting you had with Scotty last night when they managed to catch a young zebra. Donna from Missouri is just wondering, how do mother animals out here in the bush cope with their young being killed? And I mean, we can expand this into the Styx lionesses having their cubs killed by the Birminghams, or even Karula, who had her cub killed by hyenas. So, Donna, you must remember, we always try to put human emotions into animals because being humans, that's what we know best. but unfortunately animals do not have the same sort of emotions that we do, and definitely not the same depth of emotions. And that is by no means to say they don't have emotions. Of course they do. And that mother zebra would have, I know, was continuing to call for her calf last night even after the lions had killed it. Sorry guys, it's just a really thick area. I don't want to get stuck. The lions are just moving to the left back. So I'm just going to finish off with Donna's question. And I mean, I've seen a leopard who's seen her cubs killed by a male leopard. She went and ate half of one of them, and then she walked around for 4 days calling, even though she must have known. So I think a lot of that emotion and whatnot is instinctive in these animals, and it does end quite quickly, and they'll move on quickly, because out here, survival is paramount. So guys, while we bash and crash and try to get ahead of the lions, we're going to cross across to Jamie, who has got a very nice and very well patterned surprise for you.
Oops. Well, we're just going to get up this hill, and then I will show you the well-patterned surprise. As for the very nice part, I think I strongly disagree, and I will tell you why in a moment. Here we go. Just get ahead of him. Now, this little munchkin is officially now my favorite leopard, and I will tell you why. So him and myself just went back to where he was before, and I know he was obviously gone. There was a herd of impala standing exactly where we left him this morning. So I went for a walk in the drainage line, couldn't find anything, couldn't work it out, couldn't find his tracks crossing the road where they crossed the drainage line. So I doubled back to go back to the car and move on, and who do I see stalking me but this little monster. Now, before anybody gets too worried, it was not a serious thing. He's playing and he's learning, and I sort of stomped at him just to let him know that it wasn't acceptable, and he went to the drainage line, and I kept walking back to the car thinking that was that, and I was going to go and fetch the wildebeest so we could stay with him, and he stalked me again, and he stalked me all the way up the road. Play stalking. I honestly don't think he would have done anything serious, but it was absolutely hilarious. It's the first time I've ever been stalked by a leopard cub. So he has definitely developed a whole new personality in my eyes. Hello, beautiful boy. And just to let you know, I did also find Shadow, not too far from where we had her this morning, but there was absolutely no way we could get the vehicle in there. I bumped her on foot, and she moved off a little bit into the drainage line, and then she tucked herself away somewhere in there, and I wasn't going to, ooh, Flem and Grimace. I wasn't going to push her any harder than that. And we definitely could not get the vehicle in without doing serious environmental damage. Hello, you naughty thing. You're so naughty. Now, I must definitely clarify that he would not have done anything serious, as far as I'm concerned. It was not a serious stalk mode, or else I would never have seen him or heard. It was only because I heard him that I turned round. He's practicing and developing the skills he's going to need when he gets older. Now, what I'd really like to do is call this in, and I will as soon as I work out exactly where I am, because I have to confess, me being me on Arathusa, I'm not too sure. Now he's heading off in the direction of Mom, but not quite right. Let's see, let's stay with him. It does get a little bit thicker up ahead, but hopefully we can stay with him as long as possible. Here so I don't disturb anything. There's a buffalo up ahead, which is why he's gone into that low down slinking mode. Now he will not be hunting the buffalo, but if he shows the same lack of sense he showed with me, he might try and sneak around it, but I don't think so. I think he's going to try and stay out of sight. And it's not unheard of for buffalo to not react very kindly to the presence of leopards. Let's just hold on one moment. See which direction he's just going to decide to go in. Just want to double check where I am. Stopping to check what's happening with the buffalo. The buffalo's now moved off. Madiba is doing, his new name is taking us all a bit of getting used to. Now he's walking along and scenting the various bushes in this area, and then he pulls that face that is known as the phlegm and grimace, where he pulls up his top lip and scrunches up his face and his nose, and that is a way of drawing sense into the organ of Jacobson. Which is an organ that is especially adapted for... What are you doing, little one? I'm just going to stop here for a moment. He's up to something. He's just keeping a very close eye on the buffalo. Okay, I just need to hop onto the Game Drive channel to call him in. There are stations. I've got Shadows Bantuan here, just in the block north of the airstrip. He is mobile south. Now let's see what he's going to do. I have heard stories from Brent about Nkuhumas, who Brent saw smack a buffalo on the bottom and then run up a tree. Okay, he's just gone down again so we can reposition. Another buffalo that I didn't see. This is all part of the learning experience that he's going to have to go through over the next few days. I'm going to stop here because what I don't want to do is in any way frighten off either the leopard or the buffalo. Now obviously I don't want him to come to any harm, especially with our newfound appreciation for each other. And buffalo, as I mentioned before, can be actually quite a serious threat to a cat like this. He's much, much faster than they are. I can move forward a bit now. So he would have plenty of time to dodge them if he had to. But the buffalo would actually try and chase him. They are notoriously bad-tempered. And this is quite a large group of Duggar boys. He is tucked away underneath a tree. I think he's trying to sneak up either around the buffalo or to sneak up and have a closer look at what they're up to. They are completely unaware of his presence as far as I can tell. He's tucked down. There he is. There you can see how well hidden he is. Going to be very interesting to see how this situation plays out. I don't think he's going to try anything. I think he's still a little bit too young, but then I also didn't think he was going to follow me on foot. So there you go. Lesson for all. And he is just watching the goings on. It would be most sensible of him to not move much further. I'm just having a look round at safe places he could go if the buffalo decided to have a go at him. And there's a huge discrepancy between the top speeds of a buffalo versus that of a leopard. So if this little guy, even as young as he is, if he really wanted to get out of here quickly, he could move and cover the ground at somewhere between 22 to 24 meters per second, which is almost impossible for us to conceive just how fast they really can move. Whereas these buffalo, you're probably looking at about 15 meters per second. So he is much faster. He could well outrun them, but he'd have to be sensible about it. And now, as you can see, he's just stopped. I don't think he's going to move from where he is at the moment. He's just going to watch as these Duggar boys, or these male buffalo, start to move through. There are about 4 of them, 3 of them very close to us. There you can see this one's got quite a limp. Just trying to work out which leg it is. Oh, and I just got my first whiff of what I know only as stink bugs, which are insects that if they get squashed or in any way, they exude an incredibly potent smell. It's very, very hard to describe, but it is highly unpleasant, and I definitely just got quite my first strong whiff of summer. So the seasons are definitely changing, and what they will do is these insects will actually come out in large numbers. Especially during, there'll be a sort of a population explosion on the odd rainy days in summer. And then you have to be very, very careful what you put in your mouth if you're eating around an open space or underneath a light. And it's always highly entertaining to watch people's faces if they get a bite of the very astringent scent of stink bugs. Okay, so VM has spotted a francolin that was moving towards young Madiba, which is a name I'm going to have to try and plant in my head. Here it is. Very well spotted. Oof, the starlings are making a lot of noise at the moment. I don't think they're not typically alarm callers, so I don't think they are calling in response to him. It's just a contact call to each other. Now, as we get to sit and watch him, after the quite eventful beginning of my afternoon and my interactions with him, Raisa thought maybe he thought I was a steenbok. Not the first time that comparison has been applied to me. It's definitely the first time I've ever experienced from or through the eyes of a leopard. But just to let you know once again, there was no danger in that situation. First of all, I was quite far away from him. And second of all leopards have an instinctive fear of people. Unless there's something incredibly wrong with them, they're injured in some way, they're old, that's only when they start to become dangerous, when you see them moving around camps. And it certainly doesn't develop into a situation overnight. All leopards have an instinctive fear of people and the bipedal form that humans have. So the minute I stomped my foot in his direction just to let him know that his behavior wasn't really ideal, he immediately moved away. And I just had to do that in order to teach him some manners. Now, he's a leopard that has been exposed to lots and lots of trackers on foot throughout his life, which of course is an incredibly positive thing, because it gives so many people and guests who come to visit South Africa an opportunity to see these amazing animals in their natural habitat. And that's probably why he felt comfortable enough on foot to just put some play processes into practice. So what he did now with the buffalo, he would have had absolutely no intention of running out to try and hunt or injure a buffalo. It was exactly the same situation with me. He just was curious, and he's probably a little bit bored. Mom's left him alone again, and he's getting to that age where he knows that he needs to start practicing the various skills he's going to need. So definitely not a dangerous situation, just a really funny one, and an interesting insight into how animals, different individual leopards, have different personalities. And it's so exciting for me because this is the first leopard I've had this opportunity to work so closely and so regularly with, to really see how that personality has developed even in the last 2 months that I've been working for WildEarth. And he's sitting up again. See what he's up to. It's gone very, very dark all of a sudden. And he's gone into stalk mode, and the reason he's done that is there's actually a waterbuck that's off to the right of us. Now, it's definitely too big for a young male like Sindile, but you can see immediately that tail's up and twitching. The waterbuck is probably about 30 meters away. There's a couple of males walking through. You won't be able to see them. I'm only going to back up a little bit just so we can see them on the other side. A bump coming up. just the disappearing bottoms of the waterbuck. He was spotted far too soon, unfortunately. They took one look at him and dashed away. And again, that's just evidence of quite a young, inexperienced leopard. It was a group of bachelor male waterbuck. There was no way he would have been able to take them down. But he's just practicing, and practicing even just the stalking. Oh, Egyptian. Nice and slowly. Let me stop for one moment and my reasons will become clearer. Let me just stop for 1 second. There's one waterbuck still here, so they didn't run very far. I think although they did see him, they know that he's not a threat. There's also one a little bit ahead of me. There you go, there's the other one. Tucked away, and these two are probably about, oh hello, yeah, slightly younger one, and these two are probably about 40 meters from where young Madiba is currently sitting. So I'm just going to wait for the waterbuck to relax as well. I don't want to disturb them, because then hopefully we can see a little bit more of little Madiba's stalking action. He's just off here to my left. Not the view I was going for, but there you can see him tucked away. And just while we're looking at him like this, Tony, yes indeed, Madiba has really learnt to hide himself away very well. And that is a skill that's essential for all leopard cubs who grow up around here, especially since his mom has left him for, or has a history of leaving him for such extended periods of time. Let's just wait here for a moment just to see what these waterbuck are going to do. Now that they know he's here, I don't think they're going to move any closer, and I don't think he's going to make any efforts to follow them, but you never know, he's still watching. Keeping an eye out. it'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen over the next few hours. He is right at the top. You can see how comfortable he is with the presence of people, because I'm sure that you're picking up the construction sounds. And Arathusa is busy working on their airstrip at the moment. And we are probably maybe 100 meters from that construction site, which is all the sounds and the beeping that you can hear. It's obviously not bothering him at all. He's quite relaxed about it. And this is not far from where he was first found this morning, or from where I found Shadow. She is probably, I'd say, probably about 500 meters to the north of my position here. And it'll always be interesting to see how she then comes to find him, or if she comes to find him, or if she's just going to leave him to entertain himself until she makes a kill in the next few hours. They're both looking fairly well fed. He doesn't look too hungry. So it could be a while until they eat again, but Shadow has been known to kill 3 small antelope in 3 consecutive days, so I'm sure she'll be out and about and opportunistic creatures. And if you are joining us for the first time, or you do have any more questions on the subject of what we're looking at the moment, or anything else that you'd like to know or make a comment about, you can do that on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email them through to questions@wildearth.tv, and we'd love to hear from you. And if you are a new viewer, please let us know. It's always exciting to know that we're reaching out to new audiences as well as our wonderful regular viewers. Waterbuck have relaxed completely around him, and that's very common for general game animals. Very often, if you are new to the bush and you see very calm looking impala or calm looking prey animals that might be eaten by the various big cats and other carnivores around here, a lot of people immediately make the assumption that there's nothing dangerous around them and go looking elsewhere. And that's not always the case. Very often, if the general game or prey animals like these waterbuck or zebra, if they've seen something that's a threat to them, something like a leopard or a lion, they know then that the game is up, because those are predators that rely very much on stealth and explosive action to catch their prey. And if the prey knows that they're there and they see any kind of movement, then they can keep an eye on them and dash off if they need to. So very often they'll stick around and actually stay quite close to where those animals are, because rather you keep an eye on the threat and know where it is than have it surprise you from somewhere else. Let's see if we can shift around now that he's showing no signs of stalking these waterbuck and they've relaxed a little bit. Let's see if we can maybe get a little bit of a better view for you all. Sorry, just have to stop there. You see, barely even looked at us as we came to join him. Shall I hop out and move that tree quickly? And that beautiful tawny coat that is so crucial the crucial aspect to his camouflage. And I am going to shift forward a bit. I just wanted to make sure that he was a little bit more relaxed before I came in any closer, because I'm going to drive over some dead material now, which is going to make a bit of a noise. We'll stop there. And he is definitely shaping up to be a very handsome leopard. Oh, exhausting day. Now I realized that as I was following him, I never actually fully finished what I was saying about phlegm and grimacing, just because I got distracted by the buffalo that were around him. So as he was walking through here, he was stopping at the various guari bushes, which are a very popular tree for scent marking for the various cats, because they do keep their leaves throughout the season. It's nice, thick, dense foliage. And what he's doing there when he scrunches up his lip and makes a face like that is opening up the passage to the organ of Jacobson, which is also known as the vomeral nasal organ, and sits at the top of the palate between the sort of the palate and the sinuses, and is a way for them to almost taste the smells that they are experiencing. And we have residual ones, but we no longer have functioning organ of Jacobson's as human beings, but most of the animals here do, and it's very important in the way that they sense their world. Now he's just watching the waterbuck disappear, and I don't think he's going to go stalking after them, although he's very, very alert. Let's just give it one moment, see what he does. Oh, he's beautiful. He is just watching the waterbuck, but I don't think he's going to do anything. And I know that Brent is with the lions that possibly are about to cross our boundary, so we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
So guys, they are up on the move again, and we are getting really close to the northern boundary. So we're going to try loop again. They've taken us through some quite thick stuff, but we've managed to stay with them. For a while I saw them stop and smell, and I was hoping they smelled some buffalo on our side, but they look like they're going to continue moving, so we're going to do the same so we can stay with them before they cross the boundary. Oh, there's a lioness. Just hang on, I'm going to get you there, guys. She's climbed up a tree, a fallen down marula tree, so that could be a really nice Nkuhumas up fallen marulas before. It looks like she's going to get some company. This could be quite funny. There's a lion in a leopard pose. Now getting down with another lioness behind you could be quite interesting. Oh, well done. Deftly done. No smashes or crashes. So the front lionesses are already across the fire break, approaching that northern boundary. So just have a look behind them. sorry, we just saw that last lioness decided to jump up the same tree. So if you guys are wondering what that click click is, that's my camera. Nice shot there. So I hope you guys got some screen grabs of the lions in the tree. So what we can really hope is that, well, Junior is relieving his bowels atop a tree. The lionesses have moved almost onto the northern boundary now. So I'm hoping what they do is they turn and head east down the northern boundary towards Buffelshoek Hook rather than crossing straight north. But unfortunately, history tells us that they're more than likely going to cross straight north. Okay, we're going to try to catch up with the ladies. I said if the Nkuhumas were smart, they wouldn't try to catch a buffalo because it can make quite a lot of noise, which would attract the males in the area. And Tricia from Toronto is wondering, do lions have that logic? Unfortunately not. They would see a buffalo as a nice big meal, and I think they would go for a buffalo if they saw it. So unfortunately the northern boundary right ahead of us here. The lioness there is already crossing. And I'm not sure if others have ahead of her, I can't see just yet, but we do have some still lying and approaching on the Juma side still. There we go. So now there's 4 lionesses here and only 1 has crossed so far, but unfortunately I do think the others are going to follow suit. Well, something spooked this lioness. They just ran off here. I don't know if it's... I think they might have got a panic. I think they saw Junior coming from the back and they thought he might have been another male. Let's just have a look at this quickly here, Jean. You can see this. But I think it's just a panic moment. And as these lions are about to cross across our northern boundary, Christine was wondering, is this the pride with the lioness with the amber eyes? It is, Christine. She's crossed already from what I could see, but this is the Nkuhumas pride. And all girls across and only Junior on the way. Oh, he's too tired to carry on. Very safe. Guys, I just got to update the game drive about what's happening. Stations in Nkuhumas, crossing north just to the west of Tambuti Dam. Oh, the wind's picking up. A few spots of rain about.
He's not the dominant male over these.
So a good hunting night for the lions. You can see that wind picking up now. It's going to be a dark night with these clouds, so it is a good potential hunting night. So the darker the evenings, the better they are for the lions. It kills all the ambient light that the potential prey species will be able to use to spot them. So dark windy nights like this, gusty wind, makes it tired kitty. A better chance for the lions, and you can see Jean showing you now. Dark skies and quite a high wind. Obviously, with the trees not having any leaves, it's very difficult to see that wind. So I hope you guys are getting some nice screenshots of this, some nice lighting. If I didn't have to hold the spotlight, my camera would definitely be out. And if Jean didn't have to hold the video camera, I'm sure his would be out as well. So there they go, unfortunately, off to the north. Quite disappointing for us, not being able to follow on further. But I'm sure Craig and Co will keep us updated of their movements on the morrow. Yeah, and Craig is next to us here. So as the lions disappear, we're going to cross across to Jamie, who's still with young Madiba, and we're going to move along and see what else we can find.
Welcome back, and just as Brent linked across to me, young Madiba went up and about. Just going to see which direction he goes in. He stopped to have a defecation in the road, which I'm pretty sure I avoided as I followed him. I just want to work out where he's going to go. If he goes through this block into the drainage line, I'm going to seriously struggle to stay with him. It's incredibly thick, and it's also full of young tambuti trees, which we do not drive over. But he might go through to this open patch. It looks like he's going to. Let's loop around him. No. Up the tree instead. I just want to make sure that he stays up there, and then we're going to loop around to him. No, that's what I was thinking. Ooh. Stay with him. Somewhere. Let's just stop and listen. Is he responding to a call? He dashed off very, very quickly. Not sure what it was that he was after. He stopped now to listen. I thought maybe it might be Shadow calling him, but that would be in the wrong direction. And I haven't heard anything yet. It's a bit difficult over all of the construction noise. Typically the females' contact calls to their cubs aren't those loud, rasping saw sounds. It's a sort of a soft, shortened version of that call. He stopped dead. Still listening very hard. Oh, and there he goes. Which way is he going? Up the other side. He might have been hunting a bird, although I didn't see anything. Let's see if we can get round there. I definitely can't go through. That's him there, I think. I think I see his tail.
Or it's a spotted snake.
Or it's a spotted snake. Very good point, Liam. Very good point. It is indeed him. Now, this direction that he's moved in is not the way towards Shadow, although I'm sure at some point they're going to be reunited once again, especially if she does kill something. As we saw last night, she went, or as I heard about from the viewers who watched it on the Arathusa camera last night, she did go back and fetch him after she made a Dacre kill. You're going to stop there, mister? And John, thank you for joining us on the Sunset Safari. I do hope you're enjoying this drive. And John wanted to know if the relationship and the time spent with mother and son is back to normal. Let's see if we can loop around here. It's very, very thick. And if they are officially reunited, and it definitely will be, she'll be spending less and less time with him as he grows older and he learns to gain some independence, but it is back to normal. So John from Atlanta, I think it's safe to say that Shadow and young Madiba, ooh, we've got some Inyala coming. I'm just going to be very, very quiet. He hasn't seen them. Oh, now he has. There you go, those Nyala are coming. Now let's see what he does. Because a young Nyala is very much on his menu at this age. Now, I definitely can't move here. I do not want to mess up any hunting attempts he might make. But this is very, very interesting. Come on, mister. This is your opportunity. They are within your size range. You'd have to go for one of the young ones. And there is a younger one in the group. It's disappeared out of my view for now. They're just tucked away behind some very, very thick bush. Out of my eyesight now, but they were walking in his direction when I last saw them. What's his approach going to be? Looks like he's going to stalk from that side. They've obviously moved into the drainage line. You can see him looking off into that direction. Here he goes. And they're just tucked away in there somewhere. There we go, there they go across the drainage line. There were a couple of them, so that might be one of the first ones. Now what is he going to do? And the one thing I will say is that he has definitely learned the art of patience in terms of hunting. But those adult females are probably a little bit intimidating to him. But the younger one could well be a good size snack for him. Maybe a little bit ambitious, but it was a young female. But he seems to have lost interest. They definitely didn't see him, because if they had, Inyala would definitely be barking. They respond very vocally to the presence of leopard. And he appears to have relaxed again, listening to the various construction vehicles coming back from work towards the staff village here at Arathusa. You can hear them coming through, and I would say that it's something that he's clearly learned to tune out. It hasn't bothered him. He hasn't looked in their direction once. But Jeffrey, welcome to the Sunset Safari. Jeffrey was wondering if those sounds are conferring any kind of advantage to the predators in this area. And Jeffrey, I don't think so, not enormously. Although there is a lot of that noise, the animals around this area are quite attuned to it, and the prey animals would block it out in the same way that young Madiba does. Oh, big scratch. So no, I don't think it's giving them any advantage or disadvantage. I don't think it's working either way. It's clearly not bothering him. And it hasn't seemed to have been bothering the prey animals either. Their ears are so sensitive, but they're attuned to the noises of things shuffling and sneaking about. And you'd be surprised what residual senses even we as people have, because when I was walking to find him, the construction noises were quite loud, and I still heard that little rustle that gave him away. Now where are you going? He has clearly decided that the Nyala were a little bit too ambitious. And off he goes down the road, and he looks like he's going to go ducking into a very thick area of drainage line. I might struggle to follow him. Now, while we've been following him this afternoon, you would have heard me refer to him both as Sindile and as Madiba. And I'm going to explain that because I know that there are some new viewers and some people who are a little bit confused about the names. Now, typically on a reserve like this, sorry, Liam, hold on, we need to just see something. I swear I just saw a wild dog run past. Sorry, guys. Where'd it go? I promise you I just saw a wild dog. It ran through here, in here. That's insane.
Yeah, no, what is that?
Where?
That's a daker.
No, that's a daker. No, I just saw the white tip of the spot patterns. Let's see what's happening here. I know I saw a wild dog, it's just a matter of finding it again. And he didn't even react to it. I don't think he saw it. Oh, I think it's shot in here somewhere. It would have been more than one, most likely. Running out from something there. Now, apart from a very brief sighting of wild dogs on Knobthorne Pan, this is the only other place I've seen evidence of wild dogs while I've been working for WildEarth. It's close to this airstrip. Could be cutting the corner on the way back to one of their den sites. Where are you looking now? That's this way. Sorry, I know that we very desperately abandoned young Sindile / Madiba, and I will get back to answering that question.
Right in front of us.
Oh, there we go. Was wild dog. Oh, no, that's a jackal. That was not a wild dog. This was not what I saw. Hello.
Technically it is a wild dog.
Technically it is a wild dog. But this is not what I saw. Hello. Side striped jackal. But now, maybe that was what I saw. That white tail might have caught a glimpse out of the corner of my eye. Oopsie. I have a horrible feeling that I was looking at a side-striped jackal. I just saw the tip of the white tail disappear off in this direction, and I got all excited because I thought maybe we were going to get lucky with a surprise wild dog sighting. But unfortunately, it was indeed a side-striped jackal, and he's disappeared off. So we'll make our way back towards our leopard. Oh, that's so disappointing. Not disappointing. That was a nice sighting of a jackal. But it is a little bit. Oh. Well, we did a bad rush for a jackal, which is the first time I've ever done that in my life. In my defense, it is very dark. Let's get back to our leopard and see if we can find him again, now that we've abandoned him for a jackal. Oh well, at least it was an actual animal. That was disguised as a wild dog. I'm going to try and follow up on where I left young Sindile / Madiba. I will get used to that name eventually. And I think he probably has disappeared off down this way in the direction he was going. Let's just double check where I had him last. Unfortunately, our leopard has disappeared as we went racing off after the wild dog that wasn't and turned out to be a side-striped jackal. Now, as I try and relocate him, and I have a fairly strong idea as to which way he's going, which is probably towards Shadow, I'm going to cut back across to a Bushbaby with Brent, and I'll be back with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. We've come back to the area where we had those female leopard tracks this morning, and we're just going to try have a quick gander around Waterhowl after dark. Out at this time of the evening, we might have a chance to see some of the more interesting little nocturnal mammals, so we'll be keeping an eye out for them. We're approaching the waterhole right now. We're going to have a quick look. So, unfortunately, we did have some bush babies, but they do move really quickly, and it disappeared before we came across. So we're gonna keep looking, and hopefully we'll find some more shortly. It's the right time of the evening for them to be getting moving. So nothing here. So bear with us. We're going to go through this little dip. We might lose signal there. Check this eastern edge of Buffelshoek and the road that leads to it. The last tracks we had were in that area, so maybe she didn't move too far during the day. Just had a brief visual of one of those little nocturnal creatures we do see from time to time. We do see them during the day as well, a side-striped jackal. And Jeffrey, welcome Jeffrey from the Lone Star State, is wondering, do they howl at the yip like coyotes? But the side-striped jackal does, but it's far more quiet than its cousin, the black-backed jackal. Side-stripe, it's sort of, you only really hear them when they're alarm calling, and quite often they alarm call at animals like leopard and lion. And probably one of the most interesting alarm calls I've heard a side-striped jackal do is when they had a den with pups, and it was actually in the Sabi Signs, and we went there thinking we were going to find a leopard, and we actually found a python eating the pups in the den. So, and it's a very difficult sound to emulate, but it is, a yip is probably the best description of it. And that's the alarm call. Other than that, they are very silent, unlike their slightly larger and more aggressive cousins, the black-backed jackal, which can be heard in many places in Africa, and they like to call around dusk and dawn, and very vocal, and possibly one of my favorite noises in the bush. And I will try and imitate that. Also another difficult one, but I would recommend those you guys at home, go online and listen to the calls of a black-backed jackal. I'm sure you should be able to find it without too much difficulty, and it is a wonderful sort of how I will try emulate, and that's just for your benefit and your amusement, more than it actually sounding anything like a jackal. But here we go. That doesn't sound so pretty, but trust me, if you go and listen to it online, you will hear it, and it is quite a beautiful sound. So unfortunately, no luck so far as we meander around the eastern side of Buffelshoek. We're going to head back down towards the boundary and head north again. Maybe she's working this drainage system to our west here. Where did I put my light? There we go. This is the area also where Andrew and I saw that unknown male leopard, or the one from the north who runs during the day. So I am hoping every time I come meander around these parts that we're going to get a chance to have a better view of him. class is still enjoying probably one of the best lessons that I wish I had had while I was at school. And Ruthie would like to know about how much a day does a leopard eat. Well, Ruthie, unlike us, they don't have to eat every day. So they do need to eat probably 15 to 20 kilograms of meat a week to be healthy. They'd obviously prefer to eat more than that, but that's probably around the minimum required to not pass away. Something down there, the speed, it could be a duiker. Duikers look very cat-like in their movements at night, and believe it or not, some duiker species have been known to hunt birds, not ones we get here, but ones that live up in the rainforest, and they do sometimes have some cat-like movements, but it's always worth double checking those eyes. Was just around here somewhere. So I'll move slowly on, make sure we don't miss anything. I'm just gonna go off the road here quickly to have a look. Maybe the angle's wrong from where we are. I would have guesstimated it to be probably opposite where we are now, but slightly up the slope. If we don't see the eyes from here, then I don't know. It was a mysterious animal that has flown the coop. Said it was about right here, so let's take a gamble and head off. It could be something small like a serval that's just lying down now, or even a civet just lying down to avoid us. Definitely had an air about it that did give me quite a bit of excitement. Hence us keeping on trying in this area. Whatever it is, it has disappeared. We've driven right through the middle of the block where I saw it, back up to the road where we saw it from. So I'm afraid that's going to have to remain a mystery. So if we listen quickly, we can hear an insect. That's definitely a sign of summer or the end of winter. We can hear that, and it's cicadas. More than likely red-backed cicadas, the most common species in this area. Summer's on the way, although the weather is not playing along at the moment. But let's continue on. So we've obviously been with lion and leopard on this drive, myself with the lions and Jamie with the leopard. And Donna from Missouri is wondering who has better canines, lion or leopard. Donna, I presume you mean who's got bigger canines, and a lion by a long way has much bigger canines. They have a much bigger head. What I can try do is, at home I do have a lion and a leopard skull, and I'll get my dad to send me a picture of them next to each other, and I will tweet that at some point tomorrow, and we can have a look at the difference between a lion and a leopard skull. So I do have them at home, fortunately not with us. Aha! In the tree there's a Bushbaby, and it's going to try escape, and it's dropping at a rate of knots. Oh no, it's got a hole. Oh, but that's also a good thing, because we now know where these Bushbabies live. Might pop his head out. There we go. You see that movement inside? You might see us. There we go. There's the little Bushbaby, keeping one eye on us. Now this is quite nice for us, because knowing where they sleep, although they do have multiple holes that they sleep in, there's a good chance we can come visit this hole on a regular basis and have a good chance at finding Bushbabies. And they do relax down really nice and quickly. Now you wouldn't believe it, sometimes you'll have 5 or 6 of those little Bushbabies crammed into one hole when the female's got babies. A fascinating little primate. This another name for this Bushbaby is the South African galago, and they are incredibly difficult to tell apart. Here we're quite lucky, we've only got 2 species of galago that occur in South Africa, but if you go up north and to the east and to the west, we have multiple species. Where I was, I'm sorry, I'm just going to move the spotlight for a second, Andre. Where I was in Central Africa, we probably had about 8 different species, and this specific type, about similar size to this one, are called dwarf galagos. And how you tell the difference between them in a lot of cases is to do with their call. They look identical, but the main way to tell the difference between them, and I know a lot of you will think I'm talking absolute nonsense, but I promise you it is the absolute truth, is from their penis shape. They have the strangest shaped penises out of the animal kingdom, and obviously each penis is specially designed for that specific species. And they have very strange shapes, and that penis will obviously only fit the same female of the same species. So from the outward appearance, they look identical, but when researchers have to try identify them, and actually many new species have been discovered based on penis shape, they actually have to catch them and study their penises. So this is our new Bushbaby tree, and it is a nice big adult marula, and it's just to the north of Buffelshoek Dam, between the fire break and the northern boundary. And another wonderful thing about this time of the year, and how dry it is and the lack of leaves around, is we do get opportunities to have clear views of Bushbabies and other small things. See, a little bit more brave. So, apart from having very strange genitalia, bush babies, and a lot of people consider them to be very cute pets till they found out how they mark their territory. So how they mark their territory is they will actually, there we go, he's a little bit braver, popping his head out. They will urinate on their hands and feet, and that will help spread their scent mark over the different areas. And each little family group will have a home range, and they will defend it quite vigorously from other galagos or bush babies. And the sounds they make while fighting, you would swear Armageddon was happening, and it comes out of these minute little creatures. Here we go. I think there's more than one there. So, getting a bit more used to the sound of my voice. There we go, head popping out. Also, the thing that might tempt the little guy is the fact that our spotlight might attract some yummy insects for him. Definitely becoming much more brave, and bush babies have a very varied diet. As I just mentioned, they eat insects and are very fond of moths and katydids, and katydid is a nocturnal grasshopper species, as well as mantises and beetles and grubs and all sorts of things of the insect order. They also like gum from a tree, and in certain areas, and especially in certain acacia trees, I've seen them do it on the acacia trees we get in this area. I've seen them do it on brackthorns or Acacia robusta, and on knobthorn, but not as common on knobthorn. In what I've seen is that they will chew on a certain thing and gets a tree to secrete that gum, and they will feed off that. Also fruits, and the bigger version, that the greater bush baby or thick-tailed bush baby, which I haven't heard calling or seen up here, but I know it does occur further south along the main rivers where you've got those big riverine forests. Have a very similar sort of diet, fruits and insects, but they've also been known to take birds out of nests and things like that. So there's definitely more than one in there. There's, you can see a little scratch. And there's two that I'm sure there's two, but there could possibly be more. And if you ever actually find one that's low enough to look into during the day, it is probably one of the sweetest things you've ever seen. And you can see 5 or 6 of these little guys all curled up, fast asleep in a ball. I've been lucky enough, I've found quite a few bush baby nests in my years, and I've seen actually one in the Sabi Sands to the south of us that was in a much lower tree in a knobthorn, and we could actually peek into it from the back of a vehicle if we stood up. And also I've seen them in Botswana, and in the rainforest in Central Africa, and in the Selous Game Reserve in southern Tanzania. I actually had a family of bush babies that lived outside my room, or a room is a strong word. I lived in a tent for my years in Tanzania, albeit a very nice big tent I could stand up in, an ensuite bathroom attached to my tent, a big safari tent. Well, it seems like you guys are taking it to heart, and Mavis is just letting me know that everyone is going to look up how to identify the different types of bush babies. Interesting reading there. I remember the time I heard about bush baby and their variety of genitalia. I thought it was someone pulling my big, but the research proved to be correct. Lion's Court. I would say from the direction that's one of the Birmingham boys. Very faint. Definitely giving us the beady eye. So still assessing whether we are a threat or not, and that's why it's quite important to sit still and keep talking so you can get used to our voice. I'm going to try snap off a photograph of that little one. Wait, put his head out a bit more. Now we've got the settings right, we just need to wait for him to get the correct pose. I'm sure you guys must have got some fantastic screenshots already. It's not often we get to spend an inordinate amount of time with bush babies, but hopefully we will definitely have to come and check up on this bush baby hollow. A few raindrops starting, unfortunately. Not hard enough to worry us just yet. So they look quite small and sweet and innocent. And Don is wondering, well, if we handled them, would they bite us? They would bite us and we would scream running around the room. They have got a very powerful little set of jaws, and I've seen people bitten by them at rehabilitation centres. Obviously we wouldn't try handle them at all out here. I'm happy to leave nature to be nature. There we go, the head's popping out, coming up, look at us. Oh, he's actually dozing. Eyes are opening and closing. Maybe he's enjoying the warmth from the spotlight after such a cool day. You can see him start doing some preening just in there. So the reason we're still sitting here is I'm hoping that he gets a bit more relaxed with us. He might come out. And I'm quite sure there's more than one there. I keep getting glimpses of another behind. So, well, just a little comment there from Jackie. whose class is thoroughly enjoying the live safari. Well, thanks, Jackie. We thoroughly enjoyed having the class on the live safari. I really do wish I had teachers who would let us watch safaris instead of doing work. I would have been in my element. That's all I wanted to do my whole life, was be on safari. So come on, little guy. So guys, as we draw towards the end of this sunset safari, and not only has it been filled with big and scaries with long teeth, the lion and the leopard, we're now with one of the cutest little primates around. So there's about 10 minutes left, so why don't you guys let me know if you would like to stay with this bush baby in case he pops out. And you can see he's doing a bit of grooming there now. And you can do that by letting me know on email, and the email address is questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Oh, see his neck's coming out a little bit further. I think he's seeing all yummy moths flying around, thinking, I could be getting in on that. Oh, not quite ready to head out. Oh, maybe. See his little foot. His incredibly dexterous little fingers there on the left. You can just see how he's got them around the edge. Incredibly agile little primates. You can see his big ears and very large eyes. So ears obviously for listening to things at night, and those large eyes for increased night vision. Oh, nearly looked like it's going to come out and go up. Oh, there's that little, you can see those fingers there. Looking, listening. See, far more relaxed than when we initially arrived. So if we have a look at him, he looks quite similar to a group of animals that are endemic to Madagascar. And Dennis from Lakeville, oh, look at that, he wants to go up, would like to know how closely related are bush babies to lemurs. Well, Dennis, I'm not 100% sure, and there is definitely some relation. I do think they come from a similar stock. Maybe not the ring-tailed lemurs and the bigger lemur species, but mouse lemurs, they do look very, very similar to these small bush baby species. But to be honest, Dennis, I would be lying if I told you how closely related they are. I'm not sure. But it's a really, really good question, and something I'm definitely going to have to read up on a bit more on. It would make sense that they possibly, or definitely the mouse lemurs, the small lemurs, have a common ancestor. And obviously maybe because of being on Madagascar, that intense evolution has taken place there, being isolated, and has formed many different things. And to be honest, Dennis, I'm not sure how closely mouse lemurs are related to other lemurs. So definitely some homework for me. It just keeps getting a little bit further out. So as we look at this little bush baby sitting at the entrance to its den, Ellen from Arkansas is wondering how big that hole is and how deep is that nest. Well, Ellen, it's difficult to say, but it's probably not too deep. It probably goes down about 10 centimeters from there. And to the size of the hole, they are tiny. I would probably say that hole is at a maximum 6 or 7 centimeters in diameter. That bush baby will be smaller than my hand. So if we have a look at those wonderful large ears and those incredible eyes, Spyro is wondering, do bush babies have any sonar capabilities like a bat? They don't, Spyro. They rely on an incredible sense of hearing and that enhanced night vision from those large eyes. So it's still not quite out, but you can see he's got 2 sets of feet out, or front legs out the door now. And while we do that, Lois is wondering, do they suckle their young? They do, Lois. They are mammals, so mammals like us and lions and whatnot. And the word mammal comes from the mammary glands, so they do suckle their young. And obviously for a period, I'm not exactly sure how long. Again, more homework for me. And I thought I knew a fair bit about bush babies, but that's the wonderful thing about being out here. There is always so much more to learn. But there will be a period, I'm guessing, probably a lot shorter than some other animals suckle their young, just from their young from their size, and then they will be weaned onto insects and gum and other things, and they will actually travel attached to the mother, gripping onto her as she moves through the area foraging at night once they're a bit older. So there's a little bit more preening. I think for now this little guy is going to be a little bit shy and not leap out of the hole till we're gone, but definitely if we keep coming back here, this little bush baby is going to get a little bit more relaxed, and hopefully it'll be wonderful sightings over the next little while. So thanks very much again for joining us on the Sunset Safari. It's been wonderful. Unfortunately, the Nkuhumas did cross north, but it's been great being out here. And what a special little sighting to end off, and not something you see every day. So from Jean-Andre and myself on the Wendy, it's been great having you with us. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you tomorrow. Well, I won't. It'll be James and Scott dealing with the Sunrise Safari, but I'll see you the day after.
Unfortunately, Liam and I started to get seriously rained on in our search to relocate Madiba after my shameful mistaking of a side-striped jackal for a wild dog. And I hear that Brent was imitating a jackal call, and I imagine that I am not going to hear the end of that for a while to come. But still a very, very exciting afternoon, and lots of interesting behavior from Mr. Madiba, the little leopard cub, who is starting to develop a serious personality. Very, very cool. And so exciting that we got to share all of his learning experiences today with you, from stalking those buffalo to stalking the waterbuck. And as always, a big thank you to VM for his fantastic camera work, and to Nikki and Lou in FC. And we will catch you all tomorrow for the Sunrise Safari. See you then. Bye-bye for now.